Thanks for joining us on VIP TV. Former IBF World Cruiserweight Champion, tried his hand at heavyweight with Lennox Lewis, trainer, manager, pundit, actor. Where are you in life now, apart from modelling Claudio Luigi t-shirts, or shirts, should I say?
Where am I? I'm currently, what am I doing? Last week I was doing a documentary, and next week I'm doing a commercial. so keeping busy and keeping my spirits up during the pandemic. It's very difficult though, isn't it? Because these are just unusual times for people like ourselves, who are normally here, there, and everywhere, and full of busy and got stuff to do, and an exciting sort of life. And then all of a sudden, it's long periods of nothing.
Yeah. So how have you coped during it?
How have I coped? I tried to rather than going nuts and going on the drink every day, I did the opposite. So I was off it for 9 weeks. So just trying to keep fit and healthy, because I think it's times like this when you're sort of pushed that you have to come back with something different. So just trying to keep healthy, spend time with the kids, just trying to keep them occupied. Much the same as everybody else, because there's very little anybody can do.
Yeah. So what are you up to in boxing now? Because I know you were training a few lads in Ireland. Where are you with that, or what are you doing in boxing right now? Obviously, we're lucky enough to hear you commentating sometimes on various shows.
Yeah, still doing the comedy. I think it's just, this has become a little bit of a crunch time in my life, where you've got to try and make, where you think, I think for a lot of people, where they'll be making decisions of what they want to do. And the training, I've always dabbled with the training side of boxing, because I like to be in the gym and put my expertise out there. But I've never been able to do that fully, because you've got to I make money commentating. So it's always kind of took a back seat. But I think I'm looking to now to start to explore that avenue more seriously and look, because it's always something that I've wanted to do. I've wanted to go down that route for a long time, because I've been in the game a long time. I've been around some of the greatest fighters, and I've analyzed them. I've picked them apart for the last 30 years. So passing a bit of knowledge on would be something that I would really enjoy.
Yeah, I know you've done it before. I think you've been a bit. I remember when it might have been one of your first fighters you trained. I think you were a bit let down when you had all those brilliantly talented but not so reliable Cubans in Newcastle. I think they turned up in Newcastle and thought they'd arrived in Midtown Manhattan.
Exactly. That was a letdown, because I thought at that point that was going to be taken off in the trainer wise, and they were all unbeaten. They all stayed unbeaten when they were with me, but you just couldn't get them to train. And I've done an awful lot with Cuba. Being over there, Teofilo Stevenson was my friend, God bless him, and over there they've got a great work ethic, because there's nothing else to do. But all of a sudden, take them out of that zone, and all of a sudden they don't want to do anything, and they change completely. So that was a major letdown, because I thought they were Garcia was.
Yeah, Luis Garcia, special fighter, yeah.
Super special, absolutely sure. I mean, the last I heard, he was working at Burger King. So, and that guy had world champion. That was going to be no problem whatsoever. So that was disappointing. But sometimes things happen, Steve, as you know, for a reason, and the time's got to be right. And I think life's all about getting the timing right. So hopefully when we come out of this, the world's going to change a little bit, but there's going to be opportunities in every walk of life. There's going to be some, and people are going to be hungry, because there's a lot of people going to lose jobs. There's a lot of people going to have to reevaluate their lives and what they do next, because things are going to change. So I think with that, there's going to be opportunities.
Yeah. And do you I mean, when you see stuff on Twitter about you, I've noticed a lot on social media lately when they talk boxing commentaries, everyone seems to relate to yourself and Ian Darke as a combination. You know, where are you two now? And all that, obviously Ian's doing the football. You know, what made you two such a special combination when you were together on Sky?
You know, I think I was very, very lucky that Ian picked me for the first Sky show ever. I just won the world title against Para Lumumba, and he saw something in me that, you know, my knowledge of history, my love of the history of boxing, and my passion for the sport. And I think with Ian's great technical ability, with that wonderful graveled voice that he's got, you know, combined with my youth and vigor, I just think it was a great match. And you know, we had some of the best times, and we watched some of the greatest fights. So it was special. I mean, I'd love to get back together with Ian sometime. I know he misses it. I know he misses the boxing, as he would, you know, but he's a fantastic football commentator, as he would be if it was tiddlywinks. He could make tiddlywinks exciting.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just there's still a lot of love for that partnership, which was quite unique. I mean, did you know, what you're still doing the commentary, but do you miss, you know, being ringside in Vegas, doing those big nights with Ian?
I do miss them. I do miss them with Ian. I mean, I don't miss them that much. I was out with Tyson Fury. We did the Deontay Wilder fight, so I still get to them. But it was it was a special partnership that comes along once a lifetime, and we just gelled perfectly. We just gelled perfectly well. Probably complete opposites.
But, yeah. You're from the northeast of England. He's from down in Hampshire.
I'm a fighter, and you know he's an educated guy, Ian. But I think also Ian's sense of humor. I think we both got a bit of a sense of humor, and sometimes in boxing, you know, you've got to laugh at the sport and laugh at ourselves, and you know, because sometimes it can be rough, and it can be, you know, when you're sitting ringside and it all kicks off with Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield. You know, we're sitting there when it kicks off with Andrew Galotta and Riddick Bowe in Madison Square Garden, and Ian's commentating under the table as I'm standing up, waiting anybody that come near me. That's, you know, as a riot ensued. So at times like that, you know, you've got to be capable of doing it. What was great about Ian was, you know, when there were some tragedies as well. Now that's when there's no tuition for that. There's no tuition for when somebody is knocked out and medics come in, and you know, it's in those times when we just went off our own steam. Producers probably in shock, didn't even come in. Directors didn't come in because we didn't have the experience to know what to do. And me and Ian would just take it upon ourselves to carry on with the company. It's times like that, you know, you kind of earn your money, and you know, you find out what sort of commentator you are. Anybody can commentate on a good fight. It's when you try and make two big fat lads doing a 6-rounder down the build, you try and make that interesting. That's when you find out if they're a good commentator or not.
You mentioned Mike Tyson then. Tell us about your relationship with him, because I think it continued when you were doing the commentary, because he knew you from your sparring days in New York or up in the Catskills.
Well, I had a very interesting relationship with Mike Tyson. I went over there as a sparring partner in 1987 for his fight with Terrell Biggs, which was very, very tough. I was the only white guy in the stable. Mike was beating sparring partners up for fun. And I think he took to me because, you know, I was out of my depth, out of my area, out of my place. But I stuck in there. I stuck in there for the whole duration. Then they brought me back, and they would have had me again for the Mike Spinks fight. You know, had not my manager not wanting me to go. But so a good relationship. And then obviously I was around his whole career, and when the wheels came off, they came off spectacularly, didn't they? As you know, we were all there, and that was a bad time because Mike changed, and to see the change when he came out of prison was quite hurtful because he was at war with himself. He was at war with everybody else, and a very different person from the Mike that I'd known. We were just when we were kids on the boardwalk sparring each other, and Mike on the boardwalk after sparring would be like, "Oh, come on, Glenn, let's go down and play Space Invaders." It'd be, he was like a big kid, and he's knocking grown men spark out. So then when to see him come back and pained and after prison and feeling badly done to and everything that had gone on to him, it was very different. And Sky used to send me, because the only person he wasn't good with interviewers at that time, hated the press. And the next time Mike saw me, I'm wearing a shirt and tie from this scruffy little kid down on the board. Well, I'm now wearing a shirt and tie, and I've got a microphone. And he was perplexed by that. He was, whoa, like I'd thrown him completely off. But in every interview that take me along, in every interview, he'd warm through the interview. So we'd go to the gym in Vegas to see him. They wouldn't let us in the gym, me and Ian. We'd stand outside in the heat for a while. Then they'd say, right, Mike says you can come in. So we, in the sweaty gym, we'd be standing there waiting around. And then he'd have a little quip. He'd say something to me. And then he'd have a bit of fun. And then he'd say, "Oh, Glenn, you okay? How you doing?" And then he would be back to normal. And we went through that same process every time we had to get an interview. And I was just, do I have to do this again? Yeah. But it was, and then seeing him later on, a few years ago, I saw him, and he was great, wanted me, and he was doing a talk and got me in his dressing room with his family, and it was good. So we've continued to have when I see him, he's always very, very friendly.
What do you think of his plans to come back?
I think they're just plans. I think they're plans. And like he said himself, plans go out the window and you get punched in the face. And I think, Mike can always look spectacular. It's in his genes. It's in the man himself. So, if he wants to do a minute on the pads or on the bag, he will look ferocious because he's always going to look ferocious. But then, as we know, if he gets punched in the head, you can't take 20 years away. You can't take all that life that's gone. You can't, Father Time waits for no man. So I think it's got him in the news. It's got him on it's got him fit. It's got him looking really well. So I think that's all great. If he did something for charity or had to move around, that would be good. But is that in Mike Tyson's nature? I think not. I think not. I think he could cause a riot at a school fete, couldn't he? That is the man.
How do you think the current heavyweights, Fury, Wilder, Joshua, how they would have coped in that 1990s era that, that Lewis, Tyson, that Holyfield all dominated at different times?
Steve, it's at the 1987, 88 Mike Tyson, which I was privileged to be in his camp, even though it didn't feel that way at the time because every day was life or death. So that Mike Tyson, and I say it, people say, well, he lost to Lewis or he lost, but that Mike Tyson was going on to be the greatest heavyweight of all time. He was on course. The wheels come off. Life happens, and things all went wrong for Mike. And Mike was, Mike needed. He was like a big kid. He needed to be nurtured. He needed the right people around him with Kev Rooney and Custamato and people like that. And then when he's got the wrong people around him, you got the worst of Mike Tyson. In his career, he still won world titles. He still, rose to the top of the division, but he never got the chance to fulfill his amazing potential. And, anybody that was around him at that time, he was untouchable. He was untouchable. But the current crop of heavyweights, I think, we went through a bit of a lean time only because the Klitschko's were so good. Holyfield, Tyson, Lennox, Bo, that was a great era. But I think it's a similar one now. And there's, we've still got to find out who is the best heavyweight in the world. That is still up for grabs, isn't it? Whether it's Joshua or Fury or or Wilder can come back into play. You know, they have three big names, and there's going to be some good fights. I mean, if the two Joshua fights come off, fantastic. Wilder, I would never ever discount Deontay Wilder. You cannot discount a puncher like that, because it takes, with that man, it takes one. That's all it takes, one punch. So he is still an amazing threat in the division. But you know, it's great to see Tyson Fury doing what he's done. You know, for me, he's #1 heavyweight at this time, and he's doing great. It's been great to see how his career has played out and how he's top of the tree now.
I mean, when you look, you know, when you talk about other people, let's talk about your own career. What fight's that behind you in that picture? Was that the night you beat Lumumba?
That's when I beat Lumumba. That was in my car.
On ITV, eh?
Somebody ITV, Mark Robinson, who's a golf painter, painted that for me for a charity, and he did a lot of copies. But I was in the garage, so I was thinking, I can't put a big picture like this up of myself. And then I thought, what the hell?
It's winning a world title, mate. You can't.
Yeah, I thought, what the hell? I won the world title, so it can go up. It can go up in the. So the kids have managed to keep off it for the time being. They haven't drawn a mustache on it at the moment. But that was Lumumba, and Lumumba for me. You know, you were around my career.
Yeah, just around your era.
And all through it, and it was never really planned out. I mean, the unfortunate thing was, you know, I signed with Doug Bidwell, and he didn't get me a trainer, and that was the big problem straight from the start, because he pushed me himself into being a heavyweight. Yeah. Campaigning in the heavyweight division when I was light heavyweight as an amateur. I was only 19 years of age, and all of a sudden I knew things were going wrong when my first fight. Barry Ellis is 3 fights, 3 wins, and he's 6'4".
No, I remember Barry from Clapham. Tony Neville trained him in Clapham. I remember Barry, yeah.
Yeah, and you know, he was undefeated.
I remember, a big man, yeah.
Yeah, he was a big man, and this is my first pro fight, and you know, I was terrified, to be honest. I was at the Mayfair. I put Rocky 3 on in my hotel room to psych me up, and Rocky got battered, and I thought, this is not going to go well. I ran out in the first round out of sheer adrenaline and fear, threw a bunch of punches and knocked him out in the first round. And that was great, because I made back page of the Sun. My first fight went from junior ABA champion to the next Frank Bruno, the sweetest left hook since Henry Cooper. So it just pushed me on so far. And then Doug Bidwell, you know, he just, still no trainer. He just said, we'll put him in, better fight. And I knew it was getting tougher and tougher and tougher. And then I went back to Newcastle, had lots of problems, family problems outside the ring, and lost my first fight to Westgarth. And then it was a case of just being thrown in with anybody.
Yeah, we were talking
the next 5 or 6 fights.
We talked about the Rudy Pica fight at the Albert Hall, but I mean, Pica's a good fighter, mind you, good heavyweight.
Anders Eklund.
Wow,
how
experienced.
I went to fight the cruiserweight. I went over on about 5 days' notice, and he says, "We've got you on the bill," because I was on the dole then, living in the northeast. He says, "We've got your fight on the bill. You're fighting the cruiserweight," and it was Anislet Wamba or it was somebody like that.
Yeah, good fight. WBA world champion, yeah.
Yeah, it was a world-class fighter, but he was a cruiserweight. So I'm thinking, thank goodness for that. Next minute they said, "No, you've been changed opponent. You're fighting."
Now 18 stone and about. He was chiseled, wasn't he? Yeah.
And you know, you beat me on points, but the real downside come. I was given about 4 days notice to fight Uroy Curry, and when I first went to London, I was handling Trevor Curry, Uroy Curry, very, very well. I had speed, and I got in the ring, and I was just fat, out of shape, sluggish, and it was really low point for me, Steve. I got knocked out. In my dreams of being world champion, all I dreamt of, you know, and also for my little brother who was disabled, you know, that was our dream, and you know, I carried his hopes with me as well. And then all that was all shattered, and it was a terrible, terrible, terrible low point in my career and in my life. And I remember going up to my dad's house 3 doors up, Little Terrace Street. And I went in, I was feeling sorry for myself. You know, I'd lost 5 fights in a row. I'm 20 years of age, and that's me, a journeyman, washed up, finished. And I'm like, oh, Dad. And my dad just said, right, just stop now. Have a look at him. That's when you're finished. And that was kind of the inspiration, the boot up the backside I needed, you know, to see my little brother still fighting for his life, you know, every single day. David McCrory. So that was a big kick up the backside. I lost weight, got down to cruiserweight, and sorted myself out. Went out for a bit of sparring with Mike Tyson. The next minute, I'm winning British championships. I'm winning Commonwealth titles, and that was really me, you know. And I should have, if I'd went in as a light heavyweight, I would have had a whole different career. But you know, you make mistakes in your career, you make your mistakes in life. You take bad advice, and you pay the penalty for that. And the one thing was, when I came to get my fight with Lumumba, and remember, Steve, I only had one dream. I never dreamt of being a 10 times champion, being a double champion. All I wanted to be was the first world champion ever in the northeast of England. Nobody had ever done it before. You know, so I'd been told all my life, you'll never win a world title. You'll never win a world title. So I had no more dreams. So to get to the world title was massive. And then to win it against, you know, Lumumba, who was with Devel at some point as well, who was then out of the he was a really dangerous fighter. You know, Lumumba should have been at 2 Olympic Games. He was the world amateur champion. He'd lost about 8 of 387 amateur fights, and nobody wanted to fight him. And that's, you know, so I knew I'd get him. Said to Kushner. But I got my chance. I got my chance, and you know, nobody was going to beat me on that night in Stanley.
Was that your career then? Actually, I know you went on, you beat Mazzini and all that, but that was it. And it was after that, it was never the same for you.
No, Steve, I went to bed that night, and it was the greatest night of my life. My brother was ringside. It was just, we had done it. We had done it, conquered the world. The next morning, I woke up, and I've never felt like that before in my life or since. I was just empty. I was just totally empty. Almost a gut ache with how empty it was. And it was, I had no more dreams. I earned about 7,000 quid for $15,000 for the world title fight. So it was never about money for me. It was never about money. It was just about winning the world title. And I won it. I'd achieved my dream, and there was nothing else for me. That was my career over. And I didn't want to fight ever again. You know, if I'd had the money to retire then, that would have been me, 24 years of age. I'd have walked away, because I'd never planned for the future. I'd never planned for anything after winning the world title. So it was hard. I was fighting in spirit only after that. And I didn't carry on for that much longer. I got a tax bill for Lennox Lewis, which I hadn't earned that amount of money in my whole career. Bob Williford had left, went to America, never to be seen again with my wages from the Lampkin fight. So it was not a great career. There's a lot of bitter memories in there, but there's some great ones. And the Lumumba night, everything just fitted into plan. And then right from the first bell, nearly knocking him out. And it's a funny story, because people say about my tactics for the Lumumba fight, all I'd been told was box him. Just box him, use your jab, move around the ring, box him. He's a good puncher, he's dangerous. Just box him. So then he comes to Stanley. We came into the Louisa Center in Stanley. You can imagine.
In there, wasn't it?
It was absolutely.
I don't know how many was in there, but there was about 2,000 more than should have been in there.
It was unbelievable, wasn't it? And so my tactics all the way. You can see me nervous as the announcements start, and they announced me. So I'm thinking boxing, cagey boxing, and then he came to the center of the ring, and he walks out and he goes, parallel moment. He goes. So about 3,500, 4,000 Geordies, he goes like this. And I thought, I'm going to smash your face in.
And that was it.
And that was it. The audacity to come into my town and do that, just like, this is just so easy. And that's it. I went out there, hit him with a left hook, and he came back into the fight, but he never quite recovered. And it was a good win. And it was quite a sad story if you know the after story of Lamont, because he went into a big depression after that fight. I mean, he was expected so much. His life was expected to win, and he went into a big depression, and nothing else happened in the box, and he ended up suicide or drowned in a river in Kenya.
Yeah,
it was very sad. After a spell in prison, his life just totally just zoomed in the bottom.
It meant that he wanted to do it, and his life changed. And your boxing career to you was maybe over the next day, although you carried on. Man,
right.
The stories from the fight. That's a documentary. That sort of stuff. You waking up the next morning. But Glenn, just one thing back to Tyson before you go. Who won at Space Invaders?
He won. He obliterated me at Space Invaders. I only played it because I was scared not to.
Glenn, it's been a pleasure.
I just made the numbers up.
It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you.
As always, mate. Great
to catch up with you, mate, and enjoy your haircut tomorrow.
Thank you. I will do. Take care.
For all boxing info, news, and latest interviews, amateur and pro, across the north, click and subscribe. VIP Boxing Promotions. Also, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.